Okay, welcome to the Connected Pulse. I'm Mike Mintz from Martindale-Hubbell Connected. We're here today with Jeff Richardson from the iPhone JD blog. Jeff, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Jeff. It's nice to talk to you, Mike, and look forward to it.
Excellent. So, Jeff, just give us a little bit of background about and how the iPhone JD blog started.
JD blog is something that I started in November of 2008, just sort of as a fun little hobby, and it's grown quite a bit since then, and I'm really enjoying it.
So, how many readers do you have about on average for your blog? Do you
I
have
don't know, it's tough. I use all of the analytical software that Google gives you to monitor that, and it's a few thousand every day. I mean, every month I probably have around 20,000 what Google calls unique readers, different people that come in. I don't believe that all of those are attorneys, of course. I think a
Sure.
lot of them are just people that use the iPhone and find my blog to read a review. But I know that there are a heck of a lot of attorneys that read it and that use iPhones because, frankly, I'm meeting them all the time and getting emails from them all the time too.
What are your thoughts just on what we can expect from lawyers and iPhones? Is iPhone going to penetrate the way BlackBerry did, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll reach the BlackBerry level. We'll see. But it's been interesting to watch the rise. I started using an iPhone myself in the summer of 2008 when the iPhone 3G came out and when the iPhone software came out that allowed you to work with Microsoft Exchange and third-party applications. Before then, my use of the iPhone seems to track pretty closely with the increase in lawyer use of the iPhone because when the iPhone first came out in 2007, I really don't think it was ready for prime time for professional users like lawyers.
Sure.
But with the addition of third-party applications and working with Microsoft Exchange and all of that, I think in 2008, more and more business users started to look at it seriously. And then in 2009, there was just a huge increase in business users. And so here we are at the start of 2010, and I think that you're going to see, more and more iPhone users. I can tell you, just at my law firm, for example, we have probably, I don't know, over 200, almost 300 attorneys. And when I started using the iPhone, it was a novelty. People
Right.
would come up to you and say, "Oh, what is this? And how does it work?" And now, although we still have more Blackberries at my firm, every day another attorney bumps into me and says, "Oh, Jeff, I finally got an iPhone. What cool app should I get?" Something like that.
Is what cool apps should lawyers get?
I think the most useful apps for lawyers are frankly just the built-in apps. The email apps, whether it be maps, contacts, all the things that come with the iPhone. But usually when people ask about, what apps are lawyers using the most, they're talking, of course, about third-party apps. And the fun thing is that every day new ones come out
Yeah.
that are useful. I think that, some of the most useful ones include things like the applications that allow you to edit and view Word and Excel documents, things like uh, documents to go from DataViz and Quick Office, Mobile Office Suite. Those are two fantastic apps that truly allow the iPhone to become a mobile tool. You
Right.
can be out of the office and you can be editing and viewing documents, and that's great. But I guess it was just in December, Dragon released the Dragon Dictation app
Yes.
on the iPhone, and that's one of those just it completely changes the iPhone because one of the downsides of the iPhone is the keyboard, and that you can only type so fast on something the size of a playing card. But
Sure.
with Dragon Dictation, when you can pick it up, say something real quick, hit send, and send an email, it allows you to use the iPhone's times that you never would have used it otherwise. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of a voice dictation feature added built into the iPhone
Right.
coming forward in the future, much like the Google Nexus One has that feature built in. So
Great.
we'll see what Apple announces coming forward.
What do you think, the outlook is in the next few years for lawyers? How is the behavior of lawyers going to be affected by innovations such as what the iPhone is doing or, with social and professional networking? How do you think the business of law has to change to absorb these technological changes?
Well, it's interesting because in a way, it's almost easy to predict the future of lawyers because, as you said, lawyers are so risk averse and do not tend to be at the leading edge of technology. So you can frequently look at what's going on elsewhere, and in a couple of years, it's going to be here.
Right.
I mean, I remember years ago, a friend of mine, a New Orleans attorney, Ernie Svensson, who runs a popular blog called
Ernie the Attorney. Yeah.
He and I were having lunch. Gosh, this was maybe 10 years ago, and Ernie was telling me that he was starting at that point to scan all of his documents, to digitize everything.
Right.
And he said, "This is the future. Everything's going to be at your fingertips." And I said, "Ernie, I mean, I'm not going to take the time to scan everything. I mean, it sounds like so science fiction. You might as well say we're going to all live on the moon." And of course, here we are in 2010, and frankly, I don't want paper. If anything that comes in paper, I immediately have it scanned, and
Right.
I want everything to go. All of my cases, everything is in digital format, and that's how we work it. And so, going forward for lawyers, I suspect that social media, obviously, which is one of your specialties, you look at anyone under the age of 25,
right.
and all of the communication back and forth is digital. The texting and stuff like that. And lawyers are starting to get there. You still don't see lawyers having IM meetings. We're still having video conferences or audio conferences. But I do think that is coming in the future. As the younger folks become lawyers and people who are more used to communicating through alternative means, enter the legal profession.
Sure.
I think we're going to see more of that, more collaboration, more group discussions, online. It's all coming.
Well, right.
One thing that I think is an interesting analogy is it wasn't that many years ago when certainly when I started practicing in the 1990s, where it was, in order to work as a lawyer, you have to be in your office.
Right.
And so over the weekend on a Saturday at my law firm, you would go through and there were lots and lots of people there. And then of course with computers, and especially with laptop computers, we got to the point where people could work from home, so you could
Sure.
start to not have to be in the office. And then we got to sort of the almost telecommuting point where you could be anywhere in the world still working. And I think you're an example of that because you're now in Israel and you're still doing the same work you're doing in the States.
Right.
And I think that with iPhones, I think we're starting to, that's another thing that's coming in the future. You can now, with your iPhone, do so many things that used to require a laptop computer.
Right.
So whereas you couldn't carry a laptop with you everywhere, because a laptop does have some weight to it, this thing can always just slip in your pocket or your purse, and you can do so much that you used to need a computer for, whether it be responding to emails or communicating with people, obviously talking because it's a phone. You can even use some of the remote access software to
Sure.
control a computer with this.
Sure.
And so it's getting to the point where a lawyer can be a lawyer everywhere,
Yep.
thanks to iPhone and other smartphone devices. And that's real exciting for me. I mean, I'm every day I'm seeing that.
And this is our little guest star, Shoshana. So, Shoshana, you're going to make the movie now. And she's just going to color here. The other thing, too, is, and this is a big topic for lawyers, the security of mobile computing, with cloud computing. This is a big question right now. Lawyers are really questioning whether or not they can do their work. Is there a certain enhanced duty that they're going to have now with cloud computing? And one of the things I respond when I'm asked about this by lawyers is I say, it's likely that the cloud servers that you're using, if you're using a reputable company, are more secure than your personal computer. What are your thoughts on cloud computing?
Well, I definitely think that is, going to be even more and more important in the future. I know a lot of smaller law firms and lawyers are starting to get to the point where they're relying upon Gmail and Google Docs and all of the related Google-type services to be their primary business services. And, of course, that's all computing in a cloud. I think that larger law firms are probably going to not do quite as much of that.
So you're attending the ABA Tech Show this year?
And I am. I'm looking forward to it. The ABA Tech Show is in Chicago in March. It's in Chicago every year in March. And I'm going to be leading 2 iPhone presentations for lawyers. One of them is a session that Richardson and I are doing called 60 iPhone Apps in 60 Minutes.
Awesome.
It's going to be a fast-paced, running through what the hottest apps are. And the other session that I'm doing is with Ben Stevens, who many people know from his Mac Lawyer blog. And Ben and I are talking about tips and tricks for using the iPhone in your law practice, how to integrate it and make the most of using an iPhone.
I want to thank you so much for talking to us today. This is Jeff Richardson from the iPhone JD, and we will hopefully talk to you again soon.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Mike. And anyone out there using an iPhone, I hope you become a regular reader. And just as importantly, send me thoughts about what you're doing with your iPhone and how it's helping you in your law practice.